Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of our podcast. I'm Isabell.
And I'm Leon. It's so good to have you here with us today. We hope you're doing great and ready to learn some English with us. So, Isabell, how was your weekend? Did you do anything fun?
Actually, yeah, I visited my grandparents on Saturday. We talked for hours and ate a huge lunch together. What about you?
Oh, that sounds lovely. I stayed home most of the weekend, but on Sunday I went for a long walk in the park. It was really relaxing.
That's nice. It's funny. We're both talking about things we did in the past, and that's actually a great way to introduce today's topic.
You're right. Today we're going to talk about the past, specifically how to describe actions that happened and finished at a specific time and how to relate past events to each other.
Exactly. And we'll start with something simple. Then we'll go a little deeper as we go. So stay with us until the end.
Let's start with the past perfect simple. This one sounds a bit tricky, but don't worry, we'll break it down together.
Right. We use the past perfect simple to talk about an action that finished before another action or moment in the past. Basically, it shows what happened first.
And the structure is easy. Had plus the past participle, V3, of the verb. For example, eat becomes had eaten. Isabell, can you give our listeners an example so it's clearer?
Of course. When I arrived at the station, the train had already left. So the train leaving happened before I arrived. That's the earlier action.
Nice example. Okay, now it's my turn. She had finished her homework before her mom got home. Finishing the homework happened first, then her mom arrived.
Exactly. It's all about showing which action came first when you're talking about two things in the past.
All right, now let's practice this in a real conversation between you and me.
Hey, Leon. Sorry I was a bit late today. Traffic was crazy.
No worries at all. Actually, I just got here myself. By the time I left my house, everyone else had already gone to work.
Oh, really? You've been working late these days, huh?
Yeah, it's been a busy month. Anyway, how was your trip to Boston last week?
It was great, honestly. Although when we landed, we realized we had forgotten to book a hotel. Can you believe that?
No way! What did you do?
We just walked around until we found a small place near the harbor. It turned out to be really nice, actually.
That's lucky. I used to travel like that all the time when I was younger, just showing up somewhere with no plan.
Really? I can't imagine you doing that now. You're always so organized.
I know. I guess I've changed a lot. I used to be way more spontaneous.
Same here. Actually, before I met my husband, I had never even been on a plane. Now we travel every year.
That's a big change. So, did you do anything else fun in Boston?
We did. We had read about this amazing seafood place, so we went straight there the first night.
And was it as good as they said?
Honestly, better. We had never eaten lobster like that before. It was incredible.
Wow, I'm hungry just thinking about it.
Sorry. Anyway, what about you? Did anything interesting happen while I was gone?
Actually, yeah. Remember that project I had been working on for months? Well, we finally finished it on Tuesday.
Oh, wow. Congratulations, Leon. That's huge news.
Thanks. It felt so good. Honestly, by the time we finished, I had already forgotten what it felt like to have a free evening.
I bet. So what did you do to celebrate?
Nothing crazy. Just went home and watched a movie. I used to go out and celebrate everything when I was in college, but now I just want to relax.
I get that. Life gets busier, right?
Exactly. Oh, by the way, did you hear about Mark from our office? He had already left the company by the time I got back from vacation.
Wait, really? He never mentioned anything.
I know. Apparently he'd been thinking about it for a while, but nobody knew.
Wow, that's surprising. He seems so happy here.
Yeah, well, people change their minds, I guess.
That was a great example. And did you notice how many times we use the past perfect simple? Things like we'd forgotten to book a hotel or he'd already left the company.
Right, and in every case it was showing an action that happened before another one. That's the key idea we want you to remember.
We also used used to a couple of times, like when you said, I used to travel like that, or I used to go out and celebrate everything.
That's right, we use used to talk about habits or repeated actions in the past that don't happen anymore.
Exactly. Now, let me introduce our second grammar point, the past perfect continuous. This one is closely related to what we just talked about. We use the past perfect continuous to talk about an action that was in progress before another moment or action in the past. It focuses on duration or how long something had been happening. And the structure is had been plus the verb plus ing. For example, wait becomes had been waiting. Let's compare it with what we learned earlier. If I say I had finished my homework, that's past perfect simple. It just shows the action was completed. But if I say I had been doing my homework for 2 hours, that's past perfect continuous, focusing on the continuous duration. Can you give our listeners another example, Leon? Sure. By the time I got home yesterday, I had been working for 10 hours straight. It shows the action was happening continuously before that moment. Nice one. Here's mine. She had been living in Madrid for 5 years before she moved to London. Now, a common mistake learners make is forgetting the word been and saying I had working, which is incorrect. Always remember, had plus been plus VING. Also, avoid using this tense with stative verbs like know or believe. We say I had known him, not I had been knowing him. Good point. Let's continue our chat and use the past perfect continuous.
Notice how naturally those sentences flowed? Words like broke from break, fell from fall, and felt from feel are also irregular verbs we use during that part of the lesson.
Exactly. Irregular verbs don't follow the ED pattern, so memorizing them is essential.
Now let's move to our last topic of the day, the third conditional.
This one is super useful for talking about imaginary situations in the past, things that didn't actually happen. It's basically a what if about the past.
The structure is if plus past perfect simple followed by would have plus past participle, V3.
For example, if I had studied, I would have passed the exam. In reality, the person didn't study and they didn't pass. We're imagining a different past outcome.
Another example, if I hadn't worked so hard, I wouldn't have finished the project on time.
A common mistake here is forgetting the word have and saying would finished instead of would have finished.
Or putting would have inside the if clause. Remember, if always goes with the had plus V3 part. Let's look at some more personal examples.
Speaking of what ifs, Leon, remember that wedding we both went to last month? I heard you almost missed your flight to get there. Oh, don't remind me. If I hadn't left my house early, I would have missed it completely. There was terrible traffic that morning. Wow, that's stressful. I would have panicked so much. Honestly, I did panic a little. If the driver hadn't taken a shortcut, I wouldn't have made it in time. That's lucky. If I had known the traffic was going to be that bad, I would have warned you earlier.
It's okay, lesson learned. But getting that new promotion at work was similar. If I hadn't applied for that extra project last year, I probably wouldn't have gotten promoted. It really helped me stand out.
That makes sense. Taking risks usually pays off. Just like my apartment hunt. If my friend hadn't told me about the listing, I would have never found it in time.
Sounds like good timing. Although if you'd searched a bit longer, you might have found something even cheaper.
True, but remember that trip we almost took to Portugal last summer?
Oh my gosh, yes! If we'd actually booked those tickets, we would have been there during that huge storm! I completely forgot about that. If we hadn't changed our minds, our whole vacation would have been ruined. Everything happens for a reason, I guess.
Exactly. Every single one of those sentences imagines a different past, something that could have happened, but didn't.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode. We covered the past perfect simple, past perfect continuous, and the third conditional.
Thank you all so much for staying with us until the end. We really appreciate your support.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, give us a like, and share this podcast with 3 friends who are learning English. Keep practicing every day, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.